Hello, I'm Zorab and this is Byther Farm, and today I'm going to make a gate. But before I do that, I've got some weekend chores to do. The duck house needs some attention. But I'm not actually mucking it out today. I mucked it out during the week and put a really thick layer of bedding in. And the ducks have pooped on the top layer, so now I'm turning it over, bringing some of the bottom chopped straw up to the top, just so it's a bit less, well, smelly in there for them. We'll need changing out in a few days. In the past I've tried scooping out just that top layer, but it doesn't really work, or at least not with the equipment that I've got. But this does. It turns that top layer onto the bottom. I've got some clean bedding, and that just gives me about 3 or 4 days in the winter, 3 or 4 days now before I need to clean it all out again. It gives the ducks a nicer sleeping environment. It can't be very nice sleeping on a layer of wet. So at least this way it's warm and cosy for them for another few days. And then in a few days time I'll empty this out and all that bedding will go onto the bean bed, which hopefully by then I will have weeded. I've got some cardboard down onto to discourage the weeds from growing during the winter, and this bedding can go on top as a mulch. And the other thing I want to do this morning, another bit of maintenance, is to bring out some more wood chips for this area behind me here, because although it's had some wood chips on it recently, the ducks have already squashed them down into the ground. It's got quite wet, it's getting quite muddy, and I want to try and keep on top of this during the autumn so that when it gets cold in the winter we're not sliding around like we did for the last 2 years. There you go. So now I've got those wood chips down, which hopefully will just help that area stay a little bit drier. The next thing I want to tackle is a gateway going into the annual vegetable garden. Well, actually there's 2 gates, but I'm going to start with this one. This is the end nearest the house, and I've put up this metal panelling just for the moment on a temporary basis to stop the ducks getting in here, because 3 days ago I started letting them into the food forest so that they can go through it, find all the slugs and snails that they can and dispose of them for us. So it's going to look a bit of a mess out here for a while as they're going through the wood chippings, but that's fine. They do such a good job of reducing the number of slugs and snails that well, I'm really happy for it to look messy if that's what they're doing. But I don't really want them going into the vegetable garden just yet. Eventually that'll be fine. We'll have got all the raised beds high enough up that they can't climb into them, but while some of them are still quite low, only 3 or 4 inches high, I don't want them going in there, stomping all over the beds, eating all the chard, which they will, helping themselves to anything they can find. So I want to keep them out. So today's job is to put a gate on here, because this does a brilliant job of keeping things out of the vegetable garden, including me, and I want to be able to get in and out easily. I do rather like it when by 8 o'clock in the morning you've worked up so much for sweat you need to go change into a t-shirt. So I have got it's a wooden frame that I guess was part of a pallet or a crate or something like that, but it's not quite wide enough, so I'm going to have to do something clever with some extra bits of wood to make it a bit wider. Got my hinges, And having learnt from my mistakes putting the gate on the duck enclosure, and if you haven't seen that, I'll put a link. I know exactly what I'm going to be doing with the hinges on this one. So first thing has to be to get some extra wood and to extend the width of this gate, and then I can think about the next step from there. So what I need to do is make this a bit longer going this way. So basically fix a piece of wood about here, or even joined up next to it, which means fixing it onto there somehow, maybe bracing it across this way. I could do that, that might be possible. Put in some extra pieces of wood that way. I'll give that a go first. So that's cut it to length. It can sit like that. And then I need to find a way of fixing something onto here. And maybe another one there and another one there. And that might do it. I suppose I might need to put something diagonally too. So next I'm going to cut another support to the same length. Now these have still got nails in them, and I'm going to put them down so that the nails are facing against the wood of the gate and not near our hands. And I'm making some pilot holes, and again make sure that the nails are facing the wood. Yeah. Really I should take them out, but I don't have the energy or the strength for that today. So that's all the holes I think I need to drill. And the next thing I need to do is just make sure that I think carefully about which side is going to be facing outwards towards the ducks, because actually I'm going to be putting some either chicken wire or hardware cloth on it to stop the ducks from getting through the gaps in it. And it would make more sense for that to go onto more of a flat surface. So I just need to make sure I've got things the right way around. So if I want to attach the netting to these, which will give it the maximum amount of support, I want to make sure that I've fixed my bits of wood on the back of that, which is this way round. But if I do that, then the pieces of wood that I've got will rock. Takes me a while to get these things. So I want my extensions on this side, and I want my hardware cloth on that side, on there. It probably makes sense to put the wire on first before I fix these on. That's what I'll do. So what I found, it's a piece of 1/4 inch mesh. This was left over from another job. I think this was when we put extra security on the nursery pen in the stable. Anyway, it looks like it could be just the thing. It's oh, it's not wide enough. This is the story the story of my life. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fix it on in 2 lines, so it is tall enough, and then I will sit with tiny weeny cable ties and cable it together, or I'll use a little bit of wire. I think we've got some wire to wind through the gaps and secure it like that. At first look, this looks like it could be, enough, because that's small enough to stop a duck getting through. But I do want it to be fixed onto the middle panel, just for that added security. So I'll now cut that to the right length and put a second row on. I'm very pleased. This is a good start. Anyway, it's very definitely time I went and had a cup of tea. And so, wherever you are in the world and whatever you've got planned for today, I hope it's a good one. and I also hope you'll join me again tomorrow.